Good morning. I am A.S. Revati, PhD Scholar, Department of Educational Psychology, Tamil Nadu Teacher Education University, Karapakkam, Chennai. My guide, Dr. P.N. Lakshmi Shanmugam, Assistant Professor, Department of Educational Psychology, Tamil Nadu Teacher Education University, Karapakkam, Chennai. Today, my topic, Stages of Growth and Development. Objective. After completing this knowledge, the prospective teachers are able to understand and explain clearly what is the stage of growth and development. Realize and explain clearly the concept of the stage of growth and development. Recognized and explain the meaning and definition of the stage of growth and development. Develop skills in according to growth and development. Develop interest in knowing the features of growth and development. Develop desirable positive attitude towards the outcomes of the stages of growth and development. Introduction. Growth is a lifelong process that starts with a single cell. It's created by joining together of one special cell with another cell which comes from each parent. The period of life from the first year to the 10 years is a time of great growth. Example picture for growth and development. Periods of development. Think about the lifespan and make a list of what you could consider the period of development. How many stages are on your list? Perhaps you have 3. Childhood, adulthood and old age. Or maybe 4. Infancy, childhood, adolescence and adulthood. Developmentalists break the lifespan into 9 stages as follows. Prenatal development, infancy and toddlerhood, early childhood, middle childhood, adolescence, early adulthood, middle adulthood, late adulthood, death and dying. This list reflects unique aspects of the various stages of childhood and adulthood that will be explored in this book. So, while both an 8-month-old and an 8-year-old are considered children, they have very different motor abilities, social relationships, and cognitive skills. Their nutritional needs are different and their primary psychological concerns are also distinctive. The same is true of an 18 years old and an 80 years old, both considered adults. We will discover the distinctions between being 28 or 48 as well. But first, here is a brief overview of the stages. Prenatal development. Fetal growth from 8 to 40 weeks. Fetal growth. Prenatal development. Conception, occur and development being all of the major structures of the body are forming and the health of the mother is of primary concern. Understanding nutrition, teratogens or the environmental factors that can lead to birth defect and labor and delivery are primary concerns. Infancy and toddler picture. Born day and toddlerhood. Infancy and toddlerhood. The first year and up to 2 years of life are ones of dramatic growth and change. A newborn with a keen sense of hearing but very poor vision is transformed into a walking, talking toddler within a relatively short period of time. Caregivers are also transformed from someone who manages feeding and sleep schedules to a constantly moving guide and safety inspector for a mobile, energetic child. Early childhood picture. Early childhood. Early childhood is also referred to as the preschool years, consisting of the years which follow toddlerhood and precede formal schoolings. As a 3 to 5 years old, the child is busy learning language, it gaining a sense of self and greater independence, and is beginning to learn the working of the physical world. This knowledge does not come quickly, however, and the preschoolers may have initially have interesting conceptions of size, time, space, and distance, such as fearing that they may go down the drain if they sit at the front of the bathtub, or by demonstrating how long something will take by holding out the two index fingers several inches apart. A toddler's first determination to do something may give way to a 4 years old sense of guilt for doing something that brings the disapproval of others. Middle childhood. Middle childhood. The age of 6 through 11 compress middle childhood, and much of what children experience at this age is connected to their involvement in the early grades of school. Now the goal becomes one of learning and testing new academic skills, and by assessing one's ability and accomplishments by making comparison between self and others. Schools compare students and make this comparison public through them sports. Test score and other form of recognition, growth rate slow down and children are able to refine their motor skills at their points in life. And children begin to learn about social relationship beyond the family through interaction with friends and fellow students. Adolescence. Adolescence is a period of dramatic physical changes marked by an overall physical growth, sports and sexual maturation known as puberty. It is also a time of cognitive change as the adolescent begin to think of new possibilities and to consider abstract concepts such as love, fear, and freedom. Ironically, adolescents have a sense of invisibility that puts them at a greater risk of dying from accidents of contracting sexually transmitted infections that can have lifelong consequences. Early adulthood. Early adulthood, the 20s and 30s are often so of an early adulthood. Students who are in their mind-30s tend to love to hear that they are a young adult. It is a time when we are at our psychological peak, but are most at risk for involvement in violent crime and substance abuse. It is a time of focusing on your future and putting a lot of energy into making choices that will help on earn the status of a full adult in the eyes of others. Love and work are primary concern at this stage of life. Middle adulthood. Middle adulthood, the late 30s through the mid 60s is referred to as middle adulthood. This is a period in which gaining that began earlier become more noticeable, and a period at which many people are at their peak of productivity in love and work. It may be a period of gaining expertise in certain fields and being able to understand problems and find solutions with greater efficiency than before. It can also be a time of becoming more realistic about possibilities in life previously considered, of recognizing the differences between what is possible and what is likely. This is also the age group hit by the AIDS epidemic in Africa, resulting in a substantial decreases in the number of work in those economics. Late adulthood. Late adulthood. This period of the lifespan has increased in the last 100 years, particularly in industrialized countries. Late adulthood is sometimes subdivided into 2 or 3 categories, such as the young old and old old, or the young old old, and oldest old. We will follow for the former categorization and make the distinction between the young old, who are people between 65 and 79, and the old are those who are 80 and older. One of the primary differences between these groups is that the young old are very similar to middle life adults, still working, still relatively healthy, and still interested in being product and active. Is very productive and active. The world remains productive and active, and the majority continues to live independently, but the risk of the diseases of old age, such as arteriocellular cancers and cerebral vascular disease increasing substantially for this age group. Issue of housing, health care, and extending active life expectancy, and only a few of the topics of concern from this age group. A better way to appreciate the diversity of people in late adulthood is to go beyond chronological age and examine whether a person is experiencing optimal aging. Like the gentleman picture above, who is in very good health for his age and continue to have an active, stimulating life. Normal aging, in which the changes are similar to most of those of the same age, are impaired aging, referring to someone who has more physical change and diseases than other of the same age. Death and dying. This topic is seldom given the amount of coverage it deserves of occurs. There is a certain discomfort in things about death, but there is also a certain confidence and acceptance that can come from studying death and dying. We will examine the physical, psychological, and social aspect of death, exploring grief or bereavement and addressing way in which helping professional work in death and dying. And we will discuss cultural variation in mourning, burial, and grief. Summary. Period of development. Think about the lifespan and make a list of what you could consider the period of development. How many stages are on your list? Perhaps you have 3: childhood, adulthood, and old age. Or maybe 4: infancy, childhood, adolescence, and adulthood. Developmentalists break the list span into 9 stages as follows: prenatal development, infancy and toddlerhood, early childhood, middle childhood, adolescence, early adolescence, middle adulthood, late adulthood, death and dying. Educational implication. Implications for schooling are drawn from what is known about how child develop, but it should emphasize that growth is influenced by a context, and schooling is a primary context and childhood. Just as educators and others should be aware of the way in which a 5 years old reasoning is different from a 15 years old. It is also important to be awareness that the structure and expectations of schooling influence the ways in which children grow and learn. Some references for books. Check your progress. True or false? Adolescence means to grow. True or false? Answer is true. Adolescence means to grow. It's a true. Question number 2. All children do not reach the same point of development because there is individual differences in development. True or false? Answer is true. All children do not reach the same point of development because there is individual differences in development. It's true. Thank you.